Benedictine College is transforming culture in America, one conversation at a time. I'm Dr. Jared Zimmer, and from our studios in Atchison, Kansas, these are the Benedictine Dialogues. Well, all right, Tom, good to have you on the Benedictine Dialogues.
It's awesome to be here.
Yeah. So one of the first questions I wanted to ask is, over the past several years, we've seen Benedictine College just grow, astronomically. It's now a nationally recognized, deeply Catholic school, and you've been here for some years. And so I'd love to hear from you what that was like, what you've seen over the past couple of years, and kind of what do you attribute that to?
Right. Well, I attribute it to my being here, right? I came in 2009, and as I point out to President Minnis, all numbers have gone up since then. But I really did not have a lot to do with it. What happened is I got on the right train at the right time. But oh my gosh, it's been remarkable watching what's happened here. We've had a dozen new dorms built since I've been here, 7 new academic buildings, including 100,000 square foot STEM building. We've had an observatory that we've built. We've had significant pieces of sacred art built since I've been here. I was at the dedication of the grotto, which has been phenomenal, right there, having Our Lady in the heart of campus. We've enthroned the Sacred Heart, a giant statue of the Sacred Heart in Raven Memorial Park since I've been here. And we've got 4 new chapels with tabernacles on campus since I've been here. We've started programs in nursing, engineering, architecture, several business programs. We've started great books. There's, it's a testament to this place's extraordinary success that you can't list stuff without forgetting something unless you have the list in front of you. And it's been great having a bird's eye view of it from the leadership team. So I'm director of marketing. I'm vice president of college relations at the college. And so I sit in the cabinet where all these amazing people are doing all these amazing things and figure out how to tell the world about it. And it's just been astonishing to watch.
That's awesome. And I know a big part of the particularly spiritual side of things is a deep devotion to Our Lady. And I know President Minnis attributes a lot of the growth to her as well. And one of my favorite things that I saw is the rosary walk that they have imprinted here, that there's miraculous medals all throughout campus that you can pray the rosary while you walk the campus.
Yeah, there's regular ways of doing things, and then there's the Minnis way of doing things. So we consecrated the college to Our Lady in 2013, as it turns out, right around the time that the world was consecrated to Our Lady by Pope Francis. We had the idea first, we like to point out, but maybe not, I don't know. But the way we did it is we had 1,000 people surround campus, and we had them all pray a rosary together, and then there were holes drilled in the sidewalk where pilgrims dropped miraculous medals, so blessed miraculous medals, and then they came through and filled them up. And what they are is they create a walking rosary through campus. And then, since we had more people than we had spots in a rosary, we have lots of other bonus spots as well. So the whole campus is encircled by the grace of Our Lady, which is really the story of the college from the very beginning, from when a Marian miracle that our founder attributes to Our Lady's appearance kind of helped him find safety in a storm and found the college, which is a whole other story, which I hope you'll get to sometime in Benedictine Dialogues.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and one of the kind of grand strategic plans right now is called Transforming Culture in America. And I know you've been part of the planning process of all of that. And so I'd love to hear where did the genesis of that come from? Sort of how did it come about?
Yeah, well, I was, again, privileged by being able to be on this leadership team where these amazing people are doing these things, such that I was waiting to meet with President Minnis about something when Dean Shankman walked in, and President Minnis walked in at the beginning of a day. And he said, I kept thinking last night, Our Lady has blessed our campus so much. What does she want from us? She doesn't just want us to have a bunch of great stuff. She wants something from us. So what does she want us to do? And Dean Shankman said, I was just having the same thought. So I literally saw these people have this thought that, okay, we've been given lots of graces by God. What does he want back? And we proposed it to our board that we figure out how we can give back. At first, we had one kind of direction we were going. The board kind of redirected us. and saying, why don't you find out ways that a college can transform culture in America? Because an Ecclesia Cordiae, which is John Paul II's apostolic constitution on the church, on the colleges and universities, he says that that's what they're for, to transform culture. So we had 2 years of meetings with lots of different groups. We had industry leaders, we had board of directors members, we had faculty members, students, alumni come back, and had these very serious meetings, coming up with practical ways we can transform culture in America. And it produced this plan called Transforming Culture in America, which then we planned to launch, but then a pandemic happened, so we couldn't launch it when we wanted to. We ended up launching it kind of at the tail end of the pandemic, and we scheduled a launch date where we'd have a big meeting with all the people who were involved to come back to campus. And we found an open weekend in October, and only on that day did we realize, oh my gosh, it's St. John Paul II's feast day. Now this, President Minnis says, gives him chills because his first year as a freshman at Benedictine College was the year that John Paul II became Pope. His first year as president of Benedictine College was the year St. John Paul II died, so his last year as Pope. And then when John Paul II had this document, The Church in America, it directed that certain people be invited to renewal meetings. And the first of these meetings was in 2012, and lo and behold, one of the 5 college presidents invited to this thing was President Minnis. He wasn't sure why he was chosen. He went to a meeting in Rome, and then he went to a meeting in Mexico City. And Catherine Jean Lopez, who happened to be there, describes how he went back and forth in front of the image of Our Lady of Guadalupe praying for Benedictine College. And she said, I went in there late at night, and there he was going back and forth on the conveyor belt. He came back, inspired by Our Lady of Guadalupe, built the dorm, Our Lady of Guadalupe, built the chapel dedicated to Juan Diego, and it was actually, the chapel was consecrated by the postulator of the cause of Juan Diego. And then we launched this thing, as it turns out, on I think it was the 485th anniversary of Our Lady of Guadalupe's appearance, on the feast of John Paul II. All these things came together, and then it triggered my mind to go back and look at Church in America, which we hadn't really intentionally done before. And there, in the document, it says that Our Lady of Guadalupe's intercession will transform culture in America. And then right after it, John Paul II says that, is the whole section on the role that universities should play in this. He says we should especially be creating leaders in economics, politics, art. He listed a number of areas of the world. These happen to be the very areas that we had focused on in the plan. We'd built centers and other programs around each of them. And it's just been astonishing seeing the plan come together and kind of realizing after the fact that Our Lady of Guadalupe has a role in it, St. John Paul II had a guiding role in it, and that this is big time, that this is really something that's from the heart of the church, that's meant for the church, that's in the mind of our Lord, and that we've just kind of happened upon because he gave us this inspiration.
That's awesome. Sounds like just an amazing story of grace and hard work coming together to create something amazing. And maybe my next question is kind of obvious, but what is it about American culture that really needs to transform? What is it that we're trying to accomplish in the end goal of that? Right.
Well, so we asked that very question for 2 years and tried to get at the heart of what it is that needs to be changed. You know, everybody wants to change the world, and then usually they want to change it into something that's the wrong thing.
Sure.
So we didn't want to be one of those people. So what we looked at was the mission of the college, which comes from St. Benedict himself. And our shorthand for it is community, faith, and scholarship. So building community is so vital right now. You see it in study after study and in report after report. We're dying for a lack of community. There's a loneliness epidemic that fuels an opioid epidemic. There's a loneliness epidemic that fuels a suicide epidemic. People are unconnected. You know, social media is not helping, but it was a problem even before social media. there's this lack of connection between people. So our very mission is to add connection where it's missing, to add community where it's missing. This is what St. Benedict did in Europe, which transformed culture in Europe. Two other things he did was faith and scholarship, right? So faith is the next one. What does our world need? Well, we are kind of in a morass of relativism where we're in a post-truth era where nobody knows what to believe. I think you saw this during COVID, where one group would give you a stack of studies that says that lockdowns are the way to go. Another group would give you a stack of studies that says, no, they're not, right? And nobody knows where the truth is. So what we want to do is we want to ground truth in God and then give people the scholarship that it takes to ferret out the truth from where it's lacking. So we have an information overload in America, and we're analysis weak in America and in the world. So what we want to do is give people the faith to root their faith in Jesus Christ and the scholarship to be able to see what's true and what's not. So community, faith, and scholarship is the secret sauce that St. Benedict used to transform culture in Europe. And why not try it in America too?
Yeah, I think it's awesome that part of the Benedictine lineage is literally to do those kinds of things in order to transform culture. And what's nice is, it seems to me that part of the plan here is come here, we'll train you, we'll form you how to do it, and then go into the world. Go be great businessmen, go be doctors, go be these great things out in the world and bring what you learn here, your love of Jesus Christ, love of the faith, deep scholarship, and go out, go to the world.
Right. So you've teed up the 4 priorities of the strategic plan of Benedictine College, and I appreciate that because I think they're very, they're key to the success of this thing. And it was kind of something we realized over time that all of our meetings were saying, first, you need to form people in community, faith, and scholarship so that people who come here from all backgrounds, all kinds of practices in their lives, each of us needs to be formed in how to create community, how to find faith, how to engage in real scholarship. So formation is the first priority. And that involves the Raven Standard, which is kind of the marquee product that we're doing on campus to make sure that our students all have the same characteristics of a Raven. I'm using all of our buzzwords here. But to give people a formation in what they need to be effective apostles, essentially, effective ministers of the gospel in the world, as lay people, as priests, as religious, wherever they end up. And then profession. So once we form them, we want to put them in positions to bring our mission into all walks of life. So whatever profession they have. So kind of the marquee program there is the Raven Walk, which is a way we equip them to go out into the world and be who they need to be to get the best job possible. So we want to help find them internships that'll set them up for success, give them career preparation materials that'll set them up for success, get them in the best places, period, in culture, and also the best places for them, whether that's as a parent, as a parish leader, as a politician, whatever it ends up being. So our next one is extension. We realize that we have to be bigger than just our campus. Our campus is our focus. Our campus is where we're going to form people deeply, but we need to get the word of community, faith, and scholarship outside the campus. And so that's where you come in, right? You've come to join us from Word on Fire, which has been awesome because you have already done, you're one of the few people who's already done this kind of thing where you find a way to take a mission that is trying to create new apostles, new evangelists, and get it out there through the most modern means available and also the most effective means available, even when they're not that modern. So books, podcasts, lectures, one-on-one meetings, but also videos and all the rest of it. So that's extending the mission beyond campus. And then we have our excellence priority. So above all, we want to never forget that what our real mission is teaching students here at Benedictine College, hiring the best faculty available to teach the best mission fit students available, the best truths available, right? So that's what the 4th priority is all about, making sure that we're doing the bread and butter of the business of the college while we're trying to do this extra calling that we've been given to do something with our college for the world.
Yeah, and something that I love about it, and I've already seen it, even though I've only been here a brief time as of right now, but in the students themselves, is it inspires hope that when they go out into the world, they can do this, and there's this kind of fear right now, kind of a hopelessness that the culture's too far gone, or, maybe we need to go hide ourselves in little, holes and live out the faith that way, which, people live out the faith how they want to, but I think in order to be a successful evangelist, we can't be afraid of the culture. We need to understand its warnings and its temptations, but at the same time, you can't save a culture unless you love it and you go into it, right? And so it seems to me like that's what Benedictine College is doing, is let's send these people out with a hope-filled message and deeply formed scholarship and faith community to do what John Paul II envisioned. That's one thing I really love about this. It seems like we're trying to form them in hope to go out into the culture and do something amazing.
Yeah. Well, I see that there's nothing but hope because, I'm going to try to say this. This is going to be awesome if I say it right. Okay. So you could look at the culture and say, oh my gosh, all the important markers of civilization are collapsing. You can say, if you look around, people don't have any beliefs except in some wild and crazy kind of pagan things sometimes, things that go back to the dawn of like weird beliefs in time, and that the church has no place here any longer. The church is on the fringes. But then you realize that's exactly what St. Benedict looked at. He looked at a civilization that Rome was falling apart, paganism was rising everywhere. And what did he do? He gathered people together, formed them in community, faith, and scholarship, brought back the enduring truths of history, copied it out in books, and then sent people out. St. Boniface, who chopped down the tree that became the first Christmas tree, but had been this pagan, weird tree where children were sacrificed. He went to England, where he faced the Druids. He sent people everywhere, right? And the Benedictines transformed culture in Europe at a very dark time. It's called the Dark Ages, but then you realize it's the age of this glimmering light. And we love the coincidence that Plato's Academy stopped running the very year St. Benedict opened Monte Cassino. So you have this light of learning from the ancients rekindled in St. Benedict and then going out through the world. So we've seen the light of learning that came from some of our top institutions kind of darkened a little bit by strange beliefs, by relativism, by whatever it is, right? And here we're relighting that fire. And I have nothing but hope, because you know what? God is the creator of the world. He created the rules. He created the science. He created everything that we learn about the world. And he's in charge. And the more you're in touch with him, the more you're in touch with the real truth in the center of things, and the more you have a future. So I see nothing but hope in America's situation. And I think precisely because we're doing what St. Benedict did, I see nothing but hope in what we want to do with transforming culture in America.
So as far as the strategic plan is concerned, what are some of the sort of concrete outcomes you want to see or that are part of the plan? You had mentioned the centers. What are some of the things that they're accomplishing? Yeah,
so the centers are not identical to what the strategic plan is. They are things which our group, which included faculty and board of directors and industry leaders, proposed. So, and then voted that we should do. But these centers have turned out to be a really terrific, really effective way to literally transform culture in America. I must confess, I'm a marketing guy, and I thought of these things often as gimmicks would be putting it too glibly, because I never thought of them as gimmicks. But I thought, okay, this will plant a flag in the ground, and maybe over the years it'll do some good. But oh my gosh, these things are doing good right out of the box. We have the Center for Constitutional Liberty, which is teaching groups of secondary and primary education teachers how to promote and how to discuss and how to teach the America's founding principles to their students. So there's a problem in that our young people are not hearing this. And here is a solution. We're teaching the teachers to teach the students. And this is, at the same time, they've got these internships. They've been putting interns in really key spots in both Washington, D.C. and also in Topeka, doing real things and really kind of with a positive future. We've been doing a mock trial program that's giving them the skills that they need to be able to be political figures, essentially, or be civic leaders or civil servants in some fashion or another, effective ones for community faith and scholarship. Pope Francis recently called Independence Hall in Philadelphia a shrine to liberty that the whole world looks to see, the principles that are put in our hearts by God. And what we're doing to house the Center for Constitutional Liberty is we're building this new library that will be reminiscent of Independence Hall and will include a museum piece to teach young people about our founding principles, and also our college's library, which will be a great way to kind of show our founding principles. And what we're doing in particular is trying to see where they intersect with Catholic principles and show that they are not incompatible. They don't have to be two separate things, and they can be very combined, very synchronistic. There's the Center for Family Life, which is doing astonishing things. They've got a whole human dignity curriculum that helps students, apart from their religion and apart from any reference to Catholicism or faith in general, helps them understand human dignity. And we've helped develop this. We've helped people who want to put it in public schools. In fact, one of our teachers who's using this was recently speaking before a committee of the UN about its great success. So that's astonishing right out of the bat. We have this effective program. That Family Center has also been taking pilgrimages to Poland, where they discovered what's being done with refugees and how families are opening their doors to refugees and bringing some of our principles there and bringing some of their principles back. We've also established Family Week, which is a John Paul II style week of singing, hiking, praying, but also talks and retreat elements for young people and parents alike. There's just an astonishing array of things, and I could literally go on and on,
Sure.
but I think I just want to give you a taste of the fact that it makes my job as a marketer a lot easier when we're actually doing great stuff and we don't have to pretend to be doing great stuff.
Yes. Yeah, and one of the things too that is really, at the heart of all of this is we've got a faculty and staff, world-class faculty. Just some of the conversations that I've already had with some of the things they're accomplishing, going out to Kazakhstan and excavating, ancient Christian burial sites, and just amazing stuff. It seems to me that what they're doing is just such a central role in the formation aspect of it. Our students will learn from them. That's who they're coming to.
Right. So I like to say, if you're McDonald's, you make your money from making hamburgers. If you're Benedictine College, you make your mark through your faculty. Your faculty is the product, if you will, that Benedictine College has to offer, right? So we're talking about the strategic plan transforming culture in America. Strategic plan before that was Benedictine 2020, a vision for greatness. And the idea there was to build one of America's great Catholic colleges by building one of America's great Catholic faculties, first of all, and by creating scholarshiping such that we could have one of America's great Catholic student bodies. And that was wildly successful. I thought, it did amazing things just in terms of our endowment, in terms of all those kind of campaigny things that you look at as a college. But it brought these human beings on board who are much more than a figure or an endowment number. We have Christopher Shingledecker, who is involved in the new NASA Space Telescope. He's one of the inaugural users of it. He's discovered molecules in space that nobody had discovered before with a team of researchers he's working with. We have a new pre-med program that's doing amazing things and helping place our students in great position to be the next doctors. We have, like you say, this incredible faculty that's just doing astonishing things. And I personally appreciate what Matt Ramage and Jim Madden on our third floor, our theology and philosophy floor, are doing to kind of look at faith and science, the intersection between the two, and not just the intersection between faith and science theoretically, but what about the latest things we've discovered in neuroscience and brain science? What about the latest things that we are learning about the development of different organisms? How does this jibe with the faith? And I think what we've discovered is, or what they've discovered, or what I've discovered through listening to their podcast, reading their materials, is that faith and science are like two neon signs pointing at each other. And the more you discover about our world and its intricacies, the more you discover about what God is up to. And the more you discover about what God is up to, both in his scripture and in his sacraments, the more you discover how science makes sense. So that's been a great discovery for me. Anyway, I'm just, as you can tell, I'm the marketing director, or I'm the vice president for college relations. We have a separate marketing director. But I'm paid to be excited about Benedictine College, but it sure helps that I actually am, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, yeah. And for all of our viewers and listeners, one of the things that really attracted me here as well is you've already mentioned several of the STEM programs. And so having a passion for the liberal arts, understanding that STEM is such a major aspect of that, especially as a uniquely liberal art Catholic school, to have all these great STEM programs, but also our athletic programs. I've met now several coaches, I've met several players, just unbelievable student athletes, unbelievable coaches out there doing some amazing things. So yeah, and being, of course, a former athlete myself, I kind of have a passion for that anyway. Talk about human formation. I mean, athletics is such a unique way of forming a person holistically. How has athletics been a part of the growth of the college as well?
Right. Well, I mean, athletics story here has been an amazing story also. We have football on campus, we have soccer, we have basketball on campus. We have, quote, the real college experience. You can go to a football game, and cheer on the Ravens, who, by the way, have a great record. President Minnis likes to make the joke that, we're that college in the Midwest, the one with the winning football tradition, the memorable fight song, the grotto that everybody talks about, and 100% fidelity to the magisterium of the Catholic Church. That's us, right? Because we've got the Ravens have been astonishing, and we're in the national championship game for our league not long ago. But human formation is key, and faith formation. So winning within the mission is kind of the vision statement of our athletics. And Charlie Gartenmeyer, our athletic director, takes that extremely seriously, winning within the mission. He was actually featured on EWTN once talking about how to win within the mission. And I know Focus has reached out to us about how to create structures for winning within the mission. How do you both create good athletes who are also good people in the classroom? And we've got remarkable GPA from our athletes. And also remarkable in their faith life. I love the statistic that we had, I think, was it 3 leading quarterbacks in a row, starter quarterbacks, one of whom took us to the national championship game, who all entered the Catholic Church while students here. One, it was his pre-game ritual to do an hour of adoration, and he wasn't even Catholic when he was doing that, but he is now. And then we had the national champions in women's lacrosse recently, and their whole ethos was one of faith and one of doing this for God and for each other, and kind of a community faith and scholarship thing. So our athletics has been amazing. President Minnis has not just created new academic facilities, he's also paid attention to our athletic needs as well. And every facility on campus has been upgraded. We built a new rec center as part of our Benedictine 2020 strategic plan that's always buzzing with activity. So athletics is a key part of our story, so I'm glad you brought it up.
Isn't there a unique story, too, about the baseball team coming to either President Minnis or maybe the chaplain here saying, we want to dedicate the field to Our Lady, and they went out and buried miraculous medals where their position is, right?
Yeah, so they were inspired, I think, by that earlier ceremony where we surrounded campus and put blessed miraculous medals in the sidewalks. And they did exactly the same thing on the field with prayers to dedicate the field. I like to think of it as a field of dreams moment, but better because it's one that's dedicating the field to God and not to dead baseball players who would come if you build it, or however that goes.
Yeah. So then, speaking, you mentioned Eucharistic adoration. One thing we haven't really touched on yet is the sacramental life of the college. And so, what would be kind of the typical experience of a student here in regard to the sacraments?
Yeah. So it's really a great story to tell. We start the year by explaining to non-Catholic students, and we have some. We still have a large majority are Catholic, but for those who aren't, they don't know what the sign of the cross is. They don't understand what Eucharistic adoration is. We have a sort of a discussion with them. What is it we're doing? What is it you're seeing around campus? And that has led to a situation where we have numerous non-Catholic students enter the church while they're here. Every year on Divine Mercy Sunday, we bring them into the church. But for students who are already Catholic, we offer just a ton of resources here. Mm-hmm. I'm very happy to say that we have perpetual adoration here on campus. That has been significant in my life, the fact that it's available here. And seeing in my children's life, living here, we live a few blocks from campus, that perpetual adoration chapel has been transformative for my daughter, for my son, for my children in general. And it's the same thing happens for our students. I once did a story of where I interviewed different people on what our perpetual adoration chapel meant for us. And oh my gosh, there's vocations directors at 2 different religious orders that are doing phenomenal work and just growing by leaps and bounds. Their vocation started in our adoration chapel. We have a professor here, Andy Swafford, who is mentioned in the Bible in a Year podcast, and he's also now working with Ascension on a resource for the Old Testament. And he was a football player who came to campus, hurt his leg, was kind of out of commission, and ended up entering the church like many of our athletes do. And his personal story also starts, and his story with his wife, Sarah Swafford, who's well known to many Catholic listeners, their story started in our Perpetual Adoration Chapel as well. So it's great to have that resource on campus. We have, what is it now? I think 3 daily masses that are offered on campus. We have set confession times, 2 or 3 times a day, depending on the day, two times almost every day, I believe. So we're right there. We're Johnny on the spot, meeting your sacramental needs. We saw how important this was during COVID when we upped our game with sacramental help, got extra priests available for students because we knew they were coming from places where the sacraments had become less available. And oh my gosh, families were so grateful that we did that. My family among them.
Sure, yeah. Well, it sounds to me like, I know it's been mentioned before that there's a desire to be known as like the Eucharistic College, and so part of that is us participating in the National Eucharistic Congress. We're actually a stop in the Eucharistic procession that's going to be coming through from the west going up to Indianapolis. And so it seems to me, St. John Bosco had that dream where the church is saved via Mary and the Eucharist. Sounds like that's definitely happening here.
Yeah. This sounds very promotional about that, but it really is astonishing to see how this has worked out, because the reason the college is what it is today is because of Eucharistic adoration. We had Dr. Edward Sri come on campus as a professor, and he and Father Meinrad Miller, who's now pastor at the parish, which is on the church on campus, they started Eucharistic adoration here. They started Focus on campus around the same time, with a birthplace of Focus. And then Eucharistic adoration has been a key part of our growth. The highest point you can see from all over Atchison and even across in Missouri as you come close to Benedictine College is the Abbey Tower, which is a marker of where the Blessed Sacrament is on campus, the tabernacle at the Abbey. And to this day, Eucharistic adoration is part of the campus life. There's processions on campus. We participated in the regional procession recently. So it's fitting that we're a major sponsor of the Eucharistic revival, first of all. which is headed up by Bishop Andrew Cousins, who happens to be an alum of Benedictine College, who discovered Eucharistic adoration while he was on campus. He was part of a renaissance on campus before Eucharistic adoration was really a central part of our life. And then we're a major sponsor of the Eucharistic Congress, the first one in 85 years. And then we're a major stop on the way of this Eucharistic pilgrimage that starts out from 4 different spots and heads toward Indianapolis for the big Eucharistic Congress. And I love that we are on the Junipero Serra route that starts in San Francisco, where I went to college. I'll have to tell you that story someday.
Yeah.
And heads here and then on to Indianapolis. And the motto for that route is Siempre Adelante, which is always forward, right? Which is our motto, forward, always forward, everywhere forward. So it all comes together. It's all this big package of grace. You can look at it as coincidence, but St. John Paul II says there's no coincidence with God. And I look at it as God telling us over and over again through these little signs that we're on the right track and that we're headed to the right place with Him.
That's so awesome. Well, where would you recommend if people want to read a little bit more about transforming culture in America and all the things we're talking about here?
Yeah, so if you go to benedictine.edu, you can Google Benedictine College, and it's our website, right? We're in Atchison, Kansas. You can see there a way to get to media and culture website, which is where a lot of the work that I personally have been doing, that you personally have been doing, is housed. If you go to benedictine.edu/transform, you learn all about the Transforming Culture in America plan. And we're making it seamless, so it'll be easy to find those things, even easier in the future. But it's pretty easy now. Look under About, and you find this stuff at our website. And I encourage people to check it out and see what they can do to make use of what we're doing and also get involved in what we're doing.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time, Tom. This has been awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed the Benedictine Dialogues today, I want to invite you to visit our website, media.benedictine.edu. Be sure to subscribe to our weekly newsletter where you will receive all of the latest in your inbox, or subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Thanks again for watching. God bless.